story time about when my coworker pulled out a knife on me. It sounds so dramatic, but it's true. Back in 2010, I got hired as a waitress in Glendale, California. I was trained by the lead server. I'm gonna call her Leslie. Leslie was really cool at first, and we got along pretty well. She was also an aspiring model like me, but the difference was that I had already gotten some modeling work and I had representation, and so she would ask me about how to get an agent, and I would give her as much information as I could. I was very happy to help her. And the bosses noticed that I was pretty good at it, so within a few weeks, they were congratulating me and being very vocal about how happy they were that I was working there. I could tell that this made Leslie a little bit jealous, and she quickly became very cold towards me. Whenever I entered a room, she would start talking bad about me on purpose so that I could hear her talking bad about me, and because I wouldn't react the way she wanted to, she would get very upset. She began to poison the servers against me and even the cooks in the kitchen. I then got a raise, and the bosses told me in front of her, and this made her even more upset. She clearly had some issues, and I felt bad for her, but it didn't give her the right to treat me like that. This is where it gets scary. Come back for part 2. Part 2. My coworker, who I'm calling Leslie, was very envious of the fact that I was doing well at the job and that the bosses were happy with me. I had also gotten a raise, and I was making as much money as she was, and she had been there for a very long time. She would talk bad about me as soon as I came into the room, and she would make sure I would hear her, and it got so bad that I would ask her a question and she would flat out ignore me, pretend like I just wasn't even there. I couldn't work like that any longer, so I went up to the bosses and I told them what was happening, and they were not surprised. They basically said, "It's okay, don't worry about it, just ignore her, she'll get over it." And they told me that they were going to talk to her. They told me not to worry, and I went home. The following morning, I wake up early lunch because I had the opening shift. As soon as I pull up, I see her car parked, and it was the only one there, which told me I was going to be by myself with her. I walk in, and I see that she's sitting at a table with one of the other guy servers who's completely in love with her and will do anything she wants. They see me come in, and they start walking very fast toward me. She starts yelling that I have cellulite, that I have back knee, that I'm too short, that I'll never make it as an actress. Come back for part 3, it gets scary. Part 3. My coworker Leslie is yelling at me, telling me I have cellulite, I have back knee, that I'm short, that I'll never make it as an actress or a model, and the guy that's standing right next to her is our coworker, and he's totally in love with her and will do anything she wants. He chimes in every now and then, and every time I would try to say something, they would both interrupt me, and she would just yell louder and louder. I didn't know what to do, so I started walking backwards toward my car. The other coworker, I'll call him Mark. Mark had something in his hand, and I couldn't really tell what it was. Then he pulls up his hand, and I see that he has a pocket knife. I was ready to poo my pants, you guys. She starts laughing at me because she can tell that I'm really scared, and he's just laughing as well. He called me a rat because I told the bosses about what she did, and she said that this needed to be fixed between her and I, no one else. I got mad, and I said, "Well, then why do you have Mark here with a knife?" I told her we could just talk about things, and I asked him to leave, and he said no. I tried talking some sense into them, but they just were not listening to me whatsoever. They were just so angry. Come back for part 4. Part 4. So I'm standing in the parking lot, and my coworker Leslie is yelling her face off at me, and my other coworker Mark has a knife in his hand. I'm sobbing at this point because I'm terrified. Obviously, who wouldn't be? I managed to get the car door open, and I slid inside really quick. I closed the door behind me, and then she started banging on the window and she told me to come out. I didn't. I turned on my car and I sped away. I called my bosses right away, and I was like, "Look, this just happened. Check your security cameras." They checked the security camera, and they saw the whole thing. They said they were in shock, that they didn't know that she was capable of such a thing, and that they didn't even think that it would occur to her to get someone else involved with a knife. But guess what? They didn't fire her. They told me to go back to the restaurant so that she could apologize to me because they were afraid that I was going to press charges. And I went back because I didn't want to lose my job, and I thought, you know what? I'll just accept her apology and that'll be it. She was begging me for forgiveness. She cried, and she told me that she wishes she never said anything to me, and that she thought I was very pretty, and that she apologized for getting Mark involved. Mark didn't say anything to me, and he didn't get fired. Neither of them did. I quit.
Why you should teach your kids what to do if there's a fire in the house. I think my point is definitely have a plan in place, or else your kid might do something like this. So when I was a child, I don't know how old, maybe like 6, I was in this house, chilling in this room, watching TV or playing like the first original PlayStation because I had that and it was amazing. I don't know what I was doing. But suddenly I hear my mom scream at the top of her lungs. When I heard that, I probably looked something like this. So then I ran out into the kitchen. Right there in the middle of the kitchen was the biggest fire I had ever seen in my whole life at that point. The fire was bigger than me. The smoke alarm started going crazy. It was all coming from the stove. My mom was in the kitchen trying to fan the flame, screaming, "Get out, get out, get out!" I was like, okay. So my sister, I didn't know this till later, had seen the fire and run outside. I ran to the front door. But instead of going outside of the door, I ran back into the house. You know how terrifying that must be for a mom? There's a gigantic fire in the kitchen. You tell your kid to get out, suddenly you see them run back across the house? Oh my god. Do you want to know why I did this? What was so important for me to save? Oh my god, like for part 2. Part 2, why you should plan ahead with your kids in case of fire. Because one of them might be an idiot, like me. Alright, so instead of running outside of the house, I ran back inside to my room. Why did I do this? Because, guys, Simba was still in here. My stuffed animal lion. I was not going to let him burn. I still have him, wait. Oh my god. Yes, I ran back in the house for this guy, this noseless lion named Simba. Guys, The Lion King is my favorite movie and it still is. This guy meant so much to me. I risked my life for him. And you know what? I'm glad that I did. By this time, I tried to run back outside with Simba. My mother had extinguished the flames completely. There was still so much smoke everywhere. And we had forgotten that my sister was just sitting out there alone, by herself. A 7 or 8 year old, I don't remember how old she was. We finally let her back inside the house, but opened all the doors because it was so smoky in there. So yeah. Okay, thank you, God bless.
Story time on how I got caught for not eating breakfast. My bus used to come at 8:50 and I would wake up at 8:30. By the time I came downstairs, it would be like 2 minutes until the bus arrived. So as a sneaky kid I was, I took the cereal that my mom put in the dish and put it back in the container. And I did the same exact thing every day because I'd always wake up late. Until one day, my mom decides to mix 2 different cereal types into a bowl. So me, thinking I'm the sneakiest kid ever, put it back into a cereal container with just one brand of cereal. And then I kept getting the same mixture and I put it back. And then one day I came from school. Go to part 2 to see what happens next. Part 2 on how I got caught for not eating breakfast. So I come home one day and my mom is like, we need to talk. And I was like, about what? And she's like, I'm not dumb. I know that you're not eating breakfast. We had a long chat and I learned my lesson. Don't try to be sneaky. Story time of when I fell in gym class. So this was back in elementary school. We were playing a game and the teacher would have to throw a football and 2 people would have to go catch it at the same time. For like the first 30 minutes, everything was fine. It got to my turn again. The teacher threw the ball and me and another guy went running for it. So I was running and the ball was coming from this way. So I was looking back here and running. And then I tripped over myself, but my friend said that I tripped over air. And I was lying there on the ground, face first, and I got up and everyone's just laughing at me. It was literally so embarrassing. Like imagine you standing in the middle of the gym and all of your classmates are just laughing at you. I remember walking back and my friends were laughing and replaying the scenario that happened. And I was like, and this is why I don't like taking gym.
Okay, I have like a really gross, disgusting story time, so just listen. So like in 7th grade, like girls at my middle school thought it was like trendy and like cute and quirky to like piss your pants, like at school, like do it at school. Like they would like laugh so hard that like, oops, like they peed themselves and like would keep it on their butt all day. And then they would like ask for like their crush's sweatshirt to like cover up like the pee on their butt just because like they're so cute and quirky. And I remember this one girl pissed herself at a choir concert backstage in the choir room, and the whole entire choir room smelled for like a day, and there was just a puddle of pee on the seat. And she literally had to go to the bathroom and wet her whole pants so that you couldn't tell that she pissed herself. Like it got to the point where like 2 or 3 girls a day were walking around the school with pee on their butt. And like no one said anything. Like it was cute and trendy. And like even the guys jumped on it. They were like, oh my god, like she peed. Like what? Like it's just so like unbelievable, but like it literally happened and I don't know why.